If we find ourselves in a situation where we are on the ground and someone is standing over you trying to throw punches, trying to get past your guard and get to a mount position or side control, either way, they're just trying to dominate you while you're on the ground. Our ultimate goal is to get back to our feet. However, it is not always that simple. You can't just simply pop back up. You can't simply just create the space. So sometimes we are forced to resort to other ways that allow us to pop up. For today's video, we are going to go over 4 different sweeps that you can utilize, and you can intertwine them together that allow you to get the person on their ass and allows you to pop back up to your feet. So let's dive in. If we end up in a ground fighting situation like this where the guy actually starts approaching you, and again, if they're inexperienced, they're probably just going to start leaning over, trying to will punches on you a little bit, and you're just going to have to simply start covering up. Now, ultimately, our goal is to get back up to our feet. The problem is, if I just start sitting up right away, they're going to knock you out. If I start trying to scoot back and start working up again, they're going to knock you out. So you have to, and we've talked about this before, you can start throwing kicks a little bit. You want to be in that ground position, start throwing kicks. I can post and work up to throw kicks. I can come down with axe kicks, and the idea is that either I'm doing enough damage to incapacitate them, or I'm doing enough damage to where they back up a little bit, and as they start making that space, now I can start working my space, and eventually we work back up to our feet. However, sometimes it's a little bit easier if we're able to actually get them to fall with a sweep, and then we're able to pop back up to our feet right away. Now, the 4 different sweeps that we're going to go through are all just kind of setups. You can intertwine any of them together, which again works really well if you're trying to chain the movements together, but it all stems from the idea that he's already pushed in a little bit. My feet are already up on their hips, so he's past the point of me trying to kick. He's got a strong hip and base, so I can't really even get a lot of pressure. And if I do try and cock my leg back to get a kick, he's close enough to where he can easily just pass it off to the side and get the side control and get to mount. So we're out of options of trying to kick, so my only goal from here is let's sweep them and we pop up. Now, when we do any of these sweeps, the rule of thumb is this: the second that their ass hits the ground, I have to come up right away, because we don't want to be on a level playing field. I want to make sure that the second he hits, I light a fire under my ass, I pop back up to my feet, and I instantly start working back up to a standing position, or we start progressing towards mount, side control, some sort of dominant position that puts us overall in a better place than being here. Now, if we're in this position, it's better for me to have my feet up on his thighs a little bit rather than being on the ground, because I can push him, I can off balance him a little bit, and it just gives him something to focus on. Again, he's going to be probably just leaning over trying to throw punches, and again, you're going to be panicking, probably just trying to keep your hands up, trying to survive. I'm not going to try and do fancy shit and try and catch anything. I'm literally just keeping my hands up to protect myself. Now, the first option we have is this. I want to keep my feet up here on the thighs towards the hip area a little bit, and pretty much what I'm waiting for him to do is pressure it enough to where I can then shoot my feet up and essentially invert my knees a little bit. So now I'm activating the hamstrings, I've got the position up on his hips, I've got my knees inverted, my hands are gonna slip down to the ankles. And all I'm looking to do is pull on the ankles and launch my feet forward. And now you're gonna get this point where you just swept the person, they fell down on their back, and again, I have to come up immediately. Now in this particular situation, because my legs are already on top, my best option would be to just progress forward and work into mount. But again, I have to do it right away. So the second he hits, I come up, I'm progressing forward. If he starts to try and sit up into me, I'm literally launching my hips with the weight to knock him back down, and I want to look to scoop and catch his head immediately. He's not really in a position to punch, so you don't have to worry about that, but I'm looking to just catch the head so that if he is trying to work himself up, I can pull myself down, I can get nice and heavy, we get 100 kilos on top of him. I simply just lock in place here, I can hold him down, I can start working strikes if I need to, I can work windshield to knee on belly, I can come off into side control, or I can simply work back up to my feet. I shoot those legs up, I catch the ankles, I knock them down, I come up right away, I scoop the head, and we get nice and heavy. So for number 2, this time he's got a little bit more of an off step. So his one leg's back, one leg's forward. Again, he's still probably wheeling punches down upon you, or he's simply just trying to look for a way to pass as I'm, trying to offset his bounce a little bit. The idea for this one is this. The same side leg that is forward is going to be posted on the hip. That same hand, I'm looking to grab the ankle. So this is going to be the pushing. The other side leg, I am looking to hook either behind the knee, behind the ankle, or up and behind the thigh. Again, it depends on where the person's standing. If their leg's out a little bit more behind them, I might be able to do better off here compared to reaching down for the ankle. So it all kind of just depends on where they're stepped. Either way, I've got this pressure, I've got this hook, and I've got this hook. The idea with this hook is I'm just keeping it nice and tight. I'm not necessarily trying to pull my knee up to my shoulders. I'm literally just going to give it a little bit of a pull and keep it tight. This one I'm going to push as I pull up on the ankle, and again, we sweep them down. The difference with this one compared to the first is I don't necessarily need to come up and mount, especially because my legs are not already past his guard. I do have control of the leg. So from here, you have a couple options. I can either just simply scoot back and get away, or I utilize this ankle and I come up with that pressure. And again, as he starts now trying to work his way in, I can pass and I can work to a dominant position if I need to. I get the pressure on the hip, I hook the ankle, I hook the leg, knock him down, and we just come up, do what we need to do. For the third technique, it feeds directly off the second one if they're able to defend it. So if we're in that position, you've got your post on the leg, I've got the hook on the ankle, and I've got the hook on the knee. If they manage to either reach down and pull up on your wrist, or they just manage to step that leg back really aggressively, I have the opportunity to quickly switch and do the similar type, but you add a little bit of a scissor sweep to it. So the foot that was now across, I'm going to put above on this one. My leg that was hooking, I'm going to reach across to do a scissor. But before I do that, I have to reach and grab the ankle to get that control. Now I switch the feet into their proper positions. Again, I'm pushing as I sweep with the leg and I pull with the ankle. And same idea, you take them down, I can pop up, I can get away, whichever you prefer. We start setting up this position, I get my hooks in, he aggressively moves, I switch right away to the far ankle, switch my feet position, and we still get the sweep. So for the fourth one's a good sweep, but you have to time it so it becomes a little bit riskier in that sense. So again, if he's throwing punches at you, I'm blocking the punches, covering up. I may start kind of kicking and offsetting his bounce a little bit just to kind of get him to move away. At this moment, if I see an opportunity, I'm going to take my legs, quickly drop them down to his ankles. The same time that I drop them down to his ankles, I'm going to sit up right away, and I'm simply pressing at the knees. Again, it doesn't take a whole lot of strength because of the hook. And as I hook, I push, and you knock them straight down. Now, again, similar to the second and the third sweep, I'm not already past his hips, so I can either come up controlling the ankles and look to pass, or I simply come up and I use that as an opportunity to simply just create space and get away. When I see that the timing's right, maybe his hands are up or he hasn't thrown a punch yet, I just quickly pop up and we get the sweep. Now the nice thing with these sweeps is you can completely tie them all together. So for instance, let's say he got real nice and tight, my legs were here, he starts throwing the punches again, I start getting my hands up here, maybe I start going in to reach, he feels it right away, and maybe he takes a big step back. Perfect. Now I switch right away, and I come in here and we land this one. Or again, if he starts defending this one, then I quickly switch and we come here. Maybe he defends that one and he squares back. Oh, that's fine. I can come up here in the middle. So you can intertwine all these sweeps together. The ultimate goal that you want to look for in order to be able to hit these successfully is I'm not just putting my legs on his legs and just being stationary. I'm actively looking to set him up, actively looking to keep him off bounce. The perfect example is if we are in like this position, maybe he had one leg that's close, I can literally push out his leg, and as he goes to step back, I actually hook it. And as I hook it, then I push, and I sweep him down on the other leg. So I set him up, I bait him, I get him to step where I want him to step, and then I'm able to capitalize off those sweeps. So try all of these. They work extremely well when it comes to the ground situations, and again, it allows you to pop back up to your feet very quickly, which is ultimately what we want if we are on the ground. So those are the 4 different sweeps that you can try. I highly recommend that you start applying those to your self-defense and put them in kind of different situations. Even if you don't necessarily hit the sweep exactly, if you can simply keep your attacker off balance and keep them trying to focus on regaining their balance and regaining their footwork, that allows you to ultimately create space and ultimately work even different angles, whether you come up with a single leg, whether you are able to just pop back up to your feet without having to sweep them. It gives you options because you're giving them something else to focus on. And again, if you do manage to sweep them, pop back up to your feet right away, take advantage of that situation, get you a better position, or simply create the distance and get away. Either way, we'll see you next time. Stay safe.